Intent to Kill. It's no better man. You know what it is. Cultivating a movement of improvement. This is Blue Movement. Yeah. Where do ideas come from? Like that's a real question. I want to ask the viewers out there, like, where do you think ideas come from, right? Why I ask that question? Because, well, first and foremost, I know everybody would say like God, obviously from a higher source. So something that we need to take into consideration is simple consciousness, right? Consciousness as an idea. So what is consciousness? Consciousness, I learned about it in a book called Think. I can't remember actually by who the author is, but Think, right? And there are two sides to it. So consciousness,
what the?
Yeah, consciousness is, so there's two ways to look at it, right? The way the book explains. So consciousness is your senses, right? Meaning the eyes, the hands, feet, and everything that can feel, touch, smell, and breathe. They're connected to your brain, and it's almost like a computer where things are interpreted, right? Because obviously, like, we are atoms and everything. I don't mean to digress, but we are atoms, right? We're made out of atoms, right? So what the consciousness does is it helps us perceive the reality by using those atoms to navigate and maneuver the space around us, right? And then it then sends a message to the brain, right? And the brain kind of processes.
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no.
The brain then processes that. The brain then processes that. God damn it. The brain then processes that into these images that we see, into what we see with our eyes. Well, it interprets it in its own way, right? Because everybody's reality is different, even though it's the same, right? Sonder. That's one way of looking at consciousness, right? Another way, however, is consciousness is like, so this is where God is in play, right? So we can kind of say the first idea of consciousness that I explained is the scientific way, right? So, but now I'll explain to you God's way, right? As humans, we cannot fathom what reality is, because in actuality, we are spirits, right? We are souls, right? And these bodies, we not really are these bodies. So with that being said, God kind of gives us that connection. It's unexplainable, right? It's unexplainable. And a lot of people would rather steer towards that idea of consciousness, obviously, right? So now the debate is, in the first explanation of consciousness, in terms of ideas, right? I need your guys' help with that too, because I don't fully understand it, right? I'm not perfect. I don't know everything, right? So with ideas, in the first one, I think it would have to do with emotion, right? And the things that we feel. Now that's a whole different conversation, feeling and everything. So it would determine, because I know inspiration is also one thing that we live by, that we live with, that we need in order to live, right? But I actually believe that spirituality kind of plays into all of this, right? Into both, right? Into both consciousness, because at the end of the day, these same senses, they feed into the consciousness, and that's where the inspiration goes, right? Because Because even if you look at the subconscious mind, the subconscious mind, if I were to ask you what is it made up of, it's unlimited. It's not confined by reality. And what would that mean? It would mean it's like it would literally be the one door to get to the spirit, or it would be the one door that you need in order to actually realize the spirit, right? So with the first explanation of consciousness, it would be that the senses feed into the conscious, of which the conscious then feeds to the spirit. Okay, so there's 3 levels to it that way. With the second, however, it's a direct, because the thing is, God only communicates with the spirit, right? He doesn't communicate with the flesh, I believe. So he communicates with the spirit. So as the spirit, you then communicate with the body, right? Because the body's yours, right? You kind of own it for some time, being that you take care of it, right? You own it. You have freedom to do whatever it is you want with it. Therefore, there's responsibility with it. So, with that being said, when it comes to ideas, they come directly from God. Now, when they come directly from God, I just explained it. It's a digressive, it's like a levels thing, where God then speaks to you through the spirit, right? And then you as the spirit, you are conscious of both, right? But I think if you're not spiritually strong, if you don't make it your mission to be spiritually strong in this life that we're living in, or you don't, because it's a thing of we come from the spirit and then we live in the body and then we go back to the spirit. So it's a thing of some people coming from the spirit, some spirits, right, coming from the spirit, they come into the world and they try to dominate and they try to live and they try to be worldly and everything, right? And therefore, I think that's the true sense of losing yourself, right? And so with them losing themselves in that aspect, that then God's voice becomes faint, it becomes unrecognizable, because they chose to be like, I want money, I want a girlfriend. And that's to say we don't need women. We need women in our lives, right? So yeah, like I think it's a problem when you put women on a pedestal as a man. So back to so when it comes to us spirits, we come from the spirit, and then we're born into the world, and then from the world we die into the spirit again. It's a cycle, right? And then I actually have questions in terms of like resurrection and everything, if that's the cycle, right? But that's not the point. So when God's voice becomes faint, we then allow external things. We allow it to dictate point blank, right? But inevitably what we're doing is we allow it to kind of dictate the spirit. Even we allow it to dictate so much that we allow it to dictate the spirit. And that's where the problem is, because I think everybody's starting to realize it out in the world. We've been lied to in terms of what God really is. And our perception of God, people, I don't know who, they've been working to basically create. No, they've been working so hard to alter the perception of what God truly is. Because even though I don't follow the Bible directly, I've read it before. I've lived it, right? And I've examined okay, not examined. I've observed. I've observed people who live it, right? Like it's in their blood. And it's no judgment to them or anything. It's just the way their lives turn out. It's opposing to what, so with the Bible being altered, right? I'm not saying that everything in the Bible is wrong. I'm saying that there are certain things that are said in the Bible that are now changed. For example, Old Testament and New Testament. I could pull up the Bible and show you all what I'm actually talking about, right? So yeah, I think it would be best to actually do that. So this should be like a series type of thing. So with that being said, it's a thing of the Bible then does not reflect the same thing, or it does not reflect the same Bible that we have circulating throughout religion, right? It's not a shot against religion or a shot against anybody, actually. I'm just speaking my truth. So with the Bible being altered, what I know is, even T.I. said it, you cannot change, you cannot alter or change the writing of God to cater the world. Like, how does that make sense? By doing that, you are basically saying, you are contradicting first and foremost, and you are basically saying that